So it was with great consideration and careful admiration that I have decided to change the name of this podcast. And the reason is very underwhelming. The reason I changed it from Relentless to Skunk Box, and welcome to Skunk Box, there's actually a funny story behind why I chose that name. But really, the reason why I didn't like the name Relentless anymore, I thought it was fine, but when I tried to tell someone, yeah, go to YouTube, search Relentless Podcast, you can never find this one because this one is teensy tiny and there's about 1,000 of them out there. And the whole name was cool. It was like the word Lent was hidden right there in the middle and it was all about 40-day challenges. So, I've decided to change the name of the podcast to the Skunk Box podcast, and B, the 40-day challenges, it'll still be a thing. I'm doing one right now that we could talk about. I like the concept, but it's hard to pitch to somebody. And like I said, that's my least favorite part of doing a podcast is having to not only try to get someone to come on, but pitch the idea that they have to do something in order to come on. It just felt like maybe I'll get back to that one day, but it just felt like why add a barrier to anybody who is even remotely interested in coming on? But the name's the name's Skunk Box, and here was my thought. So it had to be a minimum of 2 words, and it had to be something like kind of unrelated. And the thing that kept coming, oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. One of my mic stands just fell on its own. Creep it. So the name that kept coming to me was Childish Gambino. Of course, if you search Childish Gambino in anything before the rapper, nothing would come up. They're just not related. So that was the kind of mindset I went into with trying to come up with a new name, like something that's like easy to spell and you can't misconstrue it. Like another thing back before Relentless, it was 6 wins. Then I would get not only is that hard to find 6 wins, it's so common, but people would be like, is it 6 like SIX or is it just the number numerically, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, okay, 6 wins, not SEO friendly. SEO stands for search engine optimization. Relentless, even Relentless Podcast, not SEO friendly. God, I had to try to get people to find my channel, and they would have to do like Relentless Podcast space 6 Wins Studios, all one word, and it's just a nightmare. So Skunk Box Podcast, it's like there's nothing else out there, and I'm hoping that you just search Skunk Box Podcast and it comes up first result, boom. That's my hope. And the way that I thought of that, I don't even know if it was an original thought, but when my buddies and I used to go out fishing, the first fish that someone would catch, we would say, the skunk's out of the box. And I don't know if that's a real thing. I don't think it's a real thing people say, but it felt like it made sense. Like if you go out and you catch no fish, you got skunked. And when you catch your first fish, all right, skunk's out of the box. Now it's time to really fish. And so that's where it came from. And I wanted to kind of revamp it all. And that's that. And I haven't done a solo episode in a while. But truthfully, the reason why I did a solo episode is because I couldn't find a guest to do this one. So I was just like, fuck it. I'll do a solo episode and talk shit. Usually with the guests, they've been kind of closing in on 2 hours. I don't think this one's going to go 2 hours. It'll probably be closer to an hour tops. I mean, how long can I really talk? And how long can you really listen? Oh, I'm going to take a slurp of my fizz-free raspberry acai green tea. Oh, speaking of rhyming, okay, I'm going to make a statement that's pretty bold. Harry Mack is the best freestyle rapper I've ever heard. And not only that, other than Matt and Trey, creators of South Park and Team America and Cannibal the Musical and acted in Basketball and did Book of Mormon, all sorts of accolades. Other than those guys, I think Harry Mack might be just the most talented human that I've ever witnessed. I jotted down a note here that there's a video, and I'll link it in the description of this video. Whenever I feel like I need to put a smile on my face, I go to YouTube, and I don't even search it anymore because it's part of my like saved history. Harry Mack DC. If you're unfamiliar with Harry Mack, he rose to popularity, God, probably like 8 years ago, maybe 10. I don't know. He would go to Venice Beach he'd have a cameraman and just like a Bluetooth speaker, and he would freestyle rap. And I remember coming across his first one on Venice Beach where he freestyled over what's that Kanye and Twista song? Overnight Celebrity. He would play that beat and he would rap, and it was incredible. And the only knock on his freestyles was that like he used Harry Mack one time as like kind of filler, which try it right now. Pause this video and try to freestyle rap, period, just by yourself. And then up it by trying to freestyle rap to a beat and be actually on beat. I've tried and I am bad. I am really, really bad. And that's coming from a guy who's been listening to hip hop and dabbled in being a rapper. It's so hard. And not only that, do it. Okay, now take it up a level. Do it in front of a crowd. Take it up a level. Do it in front of a crowd where you request 3 to 5 random words to incorporate. First of all, you know what's funny? When I watch these Harry Mack videos, people will throw out these words, and I can't. And thankful for me, the words are then on the bottom of the screen. I couldn't even remember the 3 words. Thanks, ChatGPT, for making me no longer use my brain. And I can't remember 3 words. You'd be like, blue, table, street. I'd be like, oh, fuck, what was it? Okay, so we got red, graphite, and microphone. Okay, those are the 3 words, right? And I wouldn't even be able to remember those words, let alone all that pressure of the people watching you. And to make it not only good, but like, go watch now. Okay, pause. Now that you've watched Harry Mack DC, the whole video is great, but the first crowd that he picks and the last crowd that he picks are so entertaining. And you cannot watch that video without it automatically elevating your mood. And I just like the guy's vibe. He's the best freestyle rapper I've ever seen, but never once has he used that to like diss people. You know, and just the idea of like a diss track, I look at it 2 ways. One way, I love it because, you know, it's kind of my youth, and when Eminem was going at other rappers and the whole 50 Cent Ja Rule thing and the Jay-Z Nas thing, I loved it. It's like a competitive nature. But also, there's this other side of me, probably the side that's approaching 40, and the side of me that's, you know, a bland dad homeowner. Can't say homeowner without saying homo. It's just like, what are we doing? You're rapping about somebody? You gonna rap about them? They made you mad. They hurt your feelings. They weren't real. They talked shit. So you're gonna rap about them? You're gonna make a rap song? Cool, dude. Let me know how that works. And then the other side of it is like, oh, the Drake Kendrick thing was very entertaining. So I don't know. You know what? Tony Robbins once said, I am planning on talking about this. Tony Robbins once said that the person that wins in the argument, or the person that owns the room, is the person that's the most certain. When you have certainty and you know where you want to go, suck a dick, Tony Robbins. Changed my life. I like a lot of his stuff. But if certainty is like the backbone of being a man, then fuck off. Because you know what I think is the backbone of being a man? Fixing shit around the house, which I did this week. I fixed a faucet, and my wife was very turned on by this sudden change of events because I've never been Mr. Fix-It. The lights in this room, if you know Brian and Will, my buddies, they hooked this up for me. So I didn't plan on talking about any of that, but welcome to the Skunk Box podcast. Today it's just me. Again, I thought it would be a good kind of new direction. One Direction. I did meet Harry Styles one time when I was working at Republic in Los Angeles on La Brea, which I hope to get back to one day. It's been 10 years. Love that job. Food running. If you are at a crossroads in your career or you're just entering the job market, go be a food runner. It's fucking awesome. Very little interaction with the tables if you're not a people person, and you get in so many steps, you'll be in good shape. And it's just an awesome job. And at this place, you know, I interacted with famous people every single night. It was so cool. And I remember I dropped food off of like Harry Styles' table, and I had long hair at the time, and somebody made a comment like, "Oh, you look like Harry." And I didn't really know who he was at the time. And that was the best, when I could interact with celebrities that I wasn't super familiar with. And I could just be like, yeah, he wishes, or something like that. And I think that's kind of what they like being talked to like regular people. Most of them. The coolest exchange I had, the most memorable exchange I had was with Jay-Z and Beyonce. Told the story on this podcast, but I was running oysters to their table. And this is like 2014 when Beyonce had dropped that Lemonade album. And there were all sorts of rumors that I think she hinted towards like domestic abuse or infidelity or some shit like that. And big swig. And so they came in together and they were at this little like private table. And sure enough, I was running food and I delivered oysters to their table. And I go, "Is there anything else I can get for you?" And Beyonce was like, "Yeah, do you got any spicy sauce?" And I said, "We have Tabasco. Is that okay, Beyonce?" And she goes, "Yeah." And so I went down. They were upstairs. It was 2 levels. I went downstairs. I filled the ramekin full of Tabasco sauce, walked it up to the table. The only problem was I filled it to the fucking brim. I wanted Beyonce to have as much Tabasco sauce with her oysters as humanly possible, and I filled it up too high. And I wasn't shaking, but you know, when you drop something, you got to make sure it's level. And I got distracted. Oops. Just a few degrees. And this drop of Tabasco sauce spilled out of the ramekin, ran over my pointer finger, and dropped down directly into their hamachi crudo, which is like a raw fish, on their table. And I completed my Tabasco drop right in front of the queen. I looked up, and they didn't see it. They didn't see that I just dripped some Tabasco in their hamachi crudo. So I kind of crept away backwards, and I went on with my day. Whatever. Celebrity sightings were very normal, and they're for the most part, they're normal people. But later on that evening, it occurred to me, they ended up eating that hamachi crudo, and my DNA dripped off of the Tabasco into that hamachi crudo. So that night, Jay-Z and Beyonce, I don't know what to tell you. At least Beyonce. No, you probably both ate the hamachi crudo. I got my DNA up inside Jay-Z and Beyonce. That could be the name of my new diss record at Jay-Z. I wouldn't have anything to say about him except that Eminem had the superior verse on Renegade. Anyways, last time I did a solo, and I've done a string of these solo episodes, but the last time I did one, I was giving an update on my son, Julian, who, he got diagnosed with ADHD and autism spectrum disorder. And kindergarten, he's like 6.5 now. Kindergarten was very, very brutal. we got a phone call home from school pretty much every single day because he was saying wacky things, doing wacky things, climbing on tables, climbing on shelves, just being very rambunctious, as kids tend to be, but it was just on a different level. One time, one of the phone calls, this is like towards the tail end of the school year, where the teacher was just flat out defeated. I was defeated. And I asked the teacher, I said, give it to me straight here. Have you ever seen or experienced anything like Julian? And she goes, honestly, I've been doing this 20 years, and no, I have never. So it wasn't like if she would have been like, I've never experienced anything like this ever, that would have been a little different. But since I asked flat out, to her credit, she answered me straight up. So it was very, very challenging. So we had to switch up some things. We had to switch up the custody schedule, where I had him half the time and his mom had him the other half the time. And another big thing that he used to do, and I guess I spoiled it a little bit there, because knock on wood, big time, but he used to be very, very, he used to be into the self-harm and the negative self-talk. So he would say shit like, I want to kill myself, or push me down the steps, or just like fucked up shit that, like, you could only picture maybe Todd from Wedding Crashers saying. And he hasn't really, it's been months since he's self-harmed that I've seen, which is awesome. Now, granted, I do only see him Wednesdays, Thursdays, and every other weekends now, but I haven't seen it. And his negative self-talk has improved dramatically. He sometimes, like, he gets down on himself, like when he doesn't do something well, but I think that's pretty normal. I don't know. He's my only kid. I don't know what's normal. What is normal? From the movie Angus. Oh man, if you haven't seen Angus, go watch Angus from like 1995, where his whole thing is, there is no normal. That's a pretty good movie. But, so brief update there on my son. He is doing better. And it's pretty cool to see. Now, the psychiatry, he dabbled in Ritalin, which helped for a very brief amount of time, and then it started to make things worse. And kind of like where it all came to a head is when it got really bad in school, and his psychiatrist recommended either Adderall, or this shit called guanfacine, which is a sedative. And I was pro that stuff. I've always been very, like, kind of tiptoeing, and I don't want to say anti-medication, but it seemed like a last resort, break glass in case of emergency, backs against the wall. So when the doctor recommended that, I'm like, fuck yeah, give us 200 milligrams and I'll shove it in his mouth right now. But his mom was very anti. They're like, no, she didn't want to do it. So that was like the just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of, okay, well, we need to take some dramatic action some way. Let's try more time with mom. And if you don't want to do medication, may God be with you and good luck. And turns out, I don't know if she was right. If she was, like, I don't know what I wish, but he's doing better, which is the bottom line. And whatever we did, whether it was change the custody schedule, or if he just grew out of it, or she does have him in therapy once a week, I believe. I don't think it's the ABA therapy that they most commonly recommend for ASD, but it's something, and it might be helping. And if I was wrong this whole time about the medication and about proper nutrition and all these things, if I was wrong and all he needed was more time with mom, I talked about it with a friend before. I have never been so happy to be wrong. I will gladly admit when I'm wrong if it's a situation like this. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. All I want, like if the universe or whoever is controlling all this shit, because it sure as hell ain't me, were to drop down and be like, this is exactly the amount of time you need to spend in your son's life to optimize everything, or this is exactly what I would do that. I mean, unless he was like, never see him again, then I'd be like, whoa, 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 doc. In my head, God's a doctor. No. But yeah, so he's doing good. I am nervous because he's going to a new school in first grade, but all his paperwork, which is like, a Bible thick now, IEP, Individualized Education Program, something like that. He qualified for like emotional impairment. So they're going to keep working with him. We're going to keep going with him. Because if there's one thing I'm not, that's a deadbeat father. I am not a deadbeat. I am a good father. And that was one thing I really struggled with. I had to go to therapy with that because dropping down from half the time to more limited, I was like, I internalized that a lot. I was like, I must be a shit dad if I'm failing this miserably. And now, it kind of helped me. But there was one kind of rock bottom I hit where it just got so hard that I checked myself into the ER because I just needed to get away. But wherever you go, there you are. And I checked myself in and I said, I'm having a mental health crisis. Can you help me? I did it like I sat in the emergency room parking lot for like 30 minutes talking with ChatGPT. And I'm like, what do I do? How do I know how much this is going to cost? Blee, blor, blee, blor. And it was like, oh, I am so glad you are coming to me for answers. They will be able to tell you how much it will cost. And I said, oh, sweet, ChatGPT. And it said, you are very brave for prioritizing your own mental health. I am so proud of you. And I was like, oh my God, somebody's proud of me. Thanks, Chad. My wife Emily calls her ChatGPT Chad. I haven't named mine yet. I don't think I ever will. I don't want to humanize that fuck. Fuck you. And it was like, just ask the person at the front desk what it will cost or give you a ballpark. They will be able to do that. So I'm like, okay, thanks, Chad. So I went in and I said, I'm having a mental health crisis. Can you tell me how much this is going to cost? And I think I talked with ChatGPT so much I started to act like him or her, non-binary. And I go, can you give me a ballpark? And they go, no, we can't. And I was like, oh, well, Chat insisted that you can. So they sent me in the back. They put me in a gown, took my vitals, and put me in a room. And the first lady that walked in, I held up a hand like this, and I go, wait, before you do any of the expensive things, I need to know how much this is going to cost. And she was like, whoa, Stephen Hawking, you're back from the dead. And I go, yes, I've escaped from Epstein Island. And speaking of Epstein, dude, oh man, I release the files, release them. We know all you politicians are pedophiles, and the ones that I voted for are more pedophiles. And the pedophiles that I voted for are less pedophiles than the ones you voted for. Fuck you. Fuck you and your Sydney Sweeney horse that you rode out on, you fucking Nazi. Oh my God, Sydney Sweeney. Here's my take on Sydney Sweeney. Okay. First of all, if you think she is a Nazi because of the American Eagle ad, you're gay. And if you think she's not a Nazi because of the American Eagle ad, you're gay. If you care, if you bring it up in a conversation just when there's a lull, be like, oh, did you hear about the Sydney Sweeney thing? You're gay. I will say the woke movement worked on me. I am full woke. I was listening, God, I'm all over the place, but I was listening to a debate. Dave Smith and that Ed guy, Edward something from New York Times author, Dave Smith straight up called him the 6-letter F-bomb. And that's when I realized this woke shit kind of worked on me because I have essentially removed 6-letter F from my vocab. I don't use that one anymore. It's hard on my ears. So I think I made progress during it all. But back to Sydney Sweetie. Here's a question. Are you ready? Say it came out that Sydney Sweeney is a Nazi, and this was Nazi propaganda. Would you still have sex with Sydney Sweeney? Assuming you're single and there wouldn't be any sort of infidelity, and she was willing. I don't know. Yes. I would. But here's the thing. I'm not great in bed. I've been told I'm a disappointment, mostly by my father. But I've been told I'm very disappointing in bed. And that would be my, oh, fuck you, Nazi. You didn't even come when I had sex with you. But even if I was great, I don't know if I could make her come. I could have sex with her. Nazi thing aside, the only reason why I couldn't is because her voice, man. How can you hear that California accent and be like, that's attractive? I'm full-blown Michigan accent. That's attractive. Not that's attractive. It's like the Californians is what I'm thinking of. But yeah, if you have an opinion on Sydney Sweeney, you're an absolute loser. And leave her alone, man. And the whole thing was like, I think people were fine. And if you haven't seen the ad, who cares? People were fine with it. But then I think once the press started digging, and correct me if I'm wrong, go to the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they realize she was like registered Republican? And that's when the whole, she's Nazi thing came about. But we got to stop throwing around this word Nazi. I mean, it's like top 3 all-time favorite words. But speaking of, well, not speaking of, who cares? That's all I have to say about Sydney Sweeney. Big old tits. If you watch Euphoria, apparently you can see them. I didn't watch Euphoria, but I've seen them. They're good. They're good boobs. They're good boobs. Now that I'm approaching 40, my take on boobs is like, you gotta start thinking about 10 years, 20 years down the road. They might not age so well. Sydney. But she was awesome. The show White Lotus, there's a rec. White Lotus fucking ruled. She was great in it. Who cares? Here's the thing for the comments. What are some of your favorite YouTube videos? I have two favorites that I can think of. Number 1, I referenced it earlier. Harry Mack, DC. The first crowd. Okay. I'm curious how that's going to sound when I play it back. Harry Mack and DC. It's so fun, you guys. You have to watch it. Go to YouTube. I'll link it here in the description, but go to YouTube, Harry Mack DC. It's a foolproof video that I throw on when I need to smile. And my God, the first crowd that he raps for in front of the Lincoln Memorial is so fun. And then the last crowd is a group of prom kids going to prom. It's so fun. And he's just got this vibe about him that's just, he's so full of positivity. If I were, okay, I will get back to this. I'm going to make a point. I'm curious. I want you to put this in the comments too. The Mount Rushmore of celebrities that you would want to have lunch with. The 4 celebrities that you want to have lunch with in the comments. The second video that never fails to put a gosh darn smile on my face is 3 random strangers make an amazing song or something like that. It's this lonely white guy who's just strumming on his acoustic guitar outside of it looks like a grocery store. And a black guy comes up and starts kind of vibing to the song he's got. And then he joins in just randomly and sings. And this guy's like full of soul, and it's such a beautiful song. And then a third guy walks up, and you can see him like far from out of frame, and he's like interested in this song. And I think he gets the vibe like, oh, this is just off the cuff. These guys don't know each other. And then he hears the other black guy singing, and then he starts singing along. And then the cameraman goes, hey, bring it in. And then the 3 of them just have an impromptu jam sesh. And it is so heartwarming. And you know why I love it so much? Here's why I love it so much. Because when I first stumbled upon this video, it was like summer 2020 when the whole racism thing was like really, really popping off. And I was just like, nah, man, 99% of us don't give a fuck. Just be a good person. And I love how music can bring people together like that. It was so cool. I'll link that one in the description too. But man, that's a good one. And then just a timeless classic. There's millions of them out there, but military person comes home to surprise wife and kids. Those ones just right in the pee hole. I just love it so much. And I'll tear up. Dude, I will cry at those videos. I'll even cry at 3 random strangers make an amazing song. You want to know something else? I will cry when Harry Mack does a freestyle rap for some high schoolers going to prom. I will. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But back to the Mount Rushmore of people I'd want to have lunch with. Okay. And here's my basis for this. I didn't go like my favorite celebrities of all time. I didn't go Matt Stone, Trey Parker, Eminem, and The Rock because I'm such a fan of theirs. It would be embarrassed. I would just be embarrassed. I would think about it too much going in. I would be like, oh my God, I want to talk to Matt and Trey about this episode, or I want to talk to Eminem about that second verse on Stay Wide Awake. Like, how long did it take you? But they can't see what I can see. It's a vacancy in my tummy. It's making me play hide and seek. I'm angry, he's so hungry. It's a bacon beat, so bacon beat, so bacon's I'm so hungry. The whole second verse. Stop this video and go listen to Stay Wide Awake by Eminem. Listen to that second verse. And he doesn't just rhyme multiple words at a time. He's rhyming multiple sentences with one another. So another good one is his verse on Not Alike off the Kamikaze album. So drained my soul then and told me the moment he saw me that I'll be the most hated role-playing lotion. Homemade explosive with homemade lotion. Fill him with the venom and eliminate him. Although it's a minimum, I don't want to hurt him, but I did him in a fitter rage, a murder, and again, nobody will evade him because I'm beginning to feel like I'm mentally ill. I'm Attila, killer, be killed. A vanilla gorilla, you bringing the kill without me. You don't want to be the demon who win enemy and be on the receiving end. What stupidity be 100%. You was a 50% me. I'm about to fucking finish you. I'm about to battle you. I'm about to fail. I'm unavoidable. I'm unavailable. I'm unatollable. I'm on a trailer. I got a trailer full of money. I'm putting full of money. Man, stop. Look what I'm planning. Pauly D from Jersey Shore would be on my Mount Rushmore of people I want to hang out with. I've recently finished watching Jersey Shore. Guilty pleasure, call it. But that dude could be in a room full of just fucking Biden fucked up the exiting of Afghanistan. Or he could be in a room full of Trump is deporting my friends. And he would just be like, yeah, buddy. Like, he's just so positive and nothing. He just lets shit roll off his back. And I like to think of myself as a relatively positive guy, but that dude just got this infectious positivity that I want to be around for an afternoon. Just be like, dude, what is your mentality going into the day? Because I do so much in the morning to try and be positive all day, and I can't seem to maintain it. So there's some switch that he's got where he just like wakes up. He's just like, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. Banana bread at work, bro? Fuck yeah. and I want to be around that. I think it's cool. Number 2, celeb. And this all just comes down to just general attitude and outlook on life. This one is a little more kind of GOAT list in terms of people who have impacted me. Eckhart Tolle, he is the guy who authored Power of Now and A New Earth, and he does all those seminars, and he's all about just the present moment. And another cat that just, I don't call people cats. Can I edit that? I'm going to edit that out. Cat. He's another cat. I don't like that. I don't like it one bit. He just is always calm and still and present. And he's just got a take on the world that's like, if I'm here and I'm now, no problems exist. All problems are created in the mind. And when you are fully, truly present, and I would say most people would claim like, yeah, I know what the present moment is, but experiencing it it's a different thing. Experiencing the present moment is like you simultaneously fully feel the life energy in your feet and in your hands, and you're aware of your breathing, and you're aware of not only the objects in the room, but aware of the empty space in the room. That's a good indicator. When I need to kind of reel it in, when my anxiety is rocketing into the 4th dimension, I go, okay, what is the empty space in this room telling me? And the objects couldn't exist without the empty space that allows them to exist. And that's kind of like my consciousness. Like the consciousness is the empty space, and the thoughts in my head are like the objects in the room. So am I aware of that? Am I aware of the sounds, the smells, the feel, all of it? And he's guided me. I've watched, when I listened to Power of Now audiobook, and when I listened to some of his meditation seminars and just YouTube stuff, sometimes I get guided to a place where my mind, I'm fully aware, I'm fully conscious, but my mind is completely still. And it's like this empty space between thoughts that is so blissful. And I feel like if I just got one afternoon with him, I could be in that state at least while we were together, because he's really good. He's like a beacon for it, you know? He exists there. And I mostly exist just in my own mind, past and future. And even when I'm thinking about the now, it's usually like anxious thoughts or, I don't know, a little clenched. So yeah, he's been a very profound figure that I feel like if I were to meet him, I wouldn't fangirl out and be like, oh, remember when you said that the mind, you are not your mind? What did you mean? Like, we'd be able to just have a chat. Number 3 on my list of celebrities that I'd want to have lunch with, fucking Wee Man, dude. Wee Man, there was a video that I came across of him just like on a plane and talking with, and I realized like Wee Man has always been just like a beacon of positivity too. And he's one of those guys, like, if I met him, I'd probably be like, who's got the fucking card throwing machine, you know, from Jackass 2? And he's always just so cool, man. I would love to meet that guy. He just seems like such an awesome dude. Wee Man. And the number 4 might be Harry Mack. Just that talent is just once in a lifetime, once in a generation. And he just, again, positivity, man. You know what my challenge for you is today? Compliment a stranger. And I will say, not to get all hipster, I'm going to take a slug of the Celsius. Not to get all hipster on you, but I was within the first 1,000 YouTube subscribers of Harry Mack when I first came across that video of him on Venice Beach, just freestyling. I think I saw like part 1. It was like a 2-part thing. I was like, oh, I need to see more of this guy. And he just totally blew up. He did those super creative freestyles on Omegle during the pandemic where he just, you know, kind of like a chat roulette kind of thing and freestyle for people. And he created this little setup at his house, and unreal, man. That guy is so, so talented. Here's another thing. I'm going to switch topics a little bit because I had a really, really cool experience, man. And I can't. So a good friend of mine, one of my best buds in the whole world, I cannot share who he is. He requested to remain anonymous for obvious reasons when I tell you what happened to the guy. But it sparked a few thoughts in my head, which is the only reason I really wanted to talk about it. I get a text from my buddy yesterday, and he won $2 million on a scratch-off ticket. I swear to God. And I would post the article because the news did a thing on him. I would post the article in this chat, but to respect his anonymity, I'm not going to do that. Reason being, I think it says his age in there. And if somebody knows me super well, they could do like the math and be like, oh, it's got to be this guy. So I don't want any of that. But I am so fucking happy for this guy because, man, like I said, one of my best buds in the world. And what I noticed in me when he told me this is I got way, way more excited for him telling me that he won the lottery than I've ever gotten when any of my other friends shared like, hey, I'm having a kid, or hey, I'm getting married. And it was a very interesting realization for me because I'm like, is $2 million more important in life than somebody's child? Can you put that kind of monetary value on a human life? Like, what is a kid going for at an adoption agency? I don't even want to know. And then I was talking with my wife about it, and I'm like, do I care more about $2 million than my best friends and family members giving birth to their children. And I think this is what it is. Not necessarily, but winning the lottery and that amount of money is such an anomaly. You hear stories of it your whole life. Hell, I've had so many conversations with people like, what would you do if you won $1 million? Or what would you do? You see the jackpot over $1 billion. What would you do? And to have somebody who's such a good bud fucking do it, it's like, no way. No way. And I've asked him a bunch of times to come on, do the podcast like before this. And so I'd love for him to come on, but this isn't his thing. So totally cool. But I can't wait to sit down and just chat with him and pick his brain. Like, I want to know what that moment was like when you're scratching off and you realize how many double takes do you have to do? And I think it was on the, like one of those word search ones where you got to get a certain amount of words. And I think he got like 9 words. Like, what is that moment like? And what I can share, a few things, is apparently the process of actually cashing it in is super, super stressful. I don't know the specifics on that, but I'm going to ask him. And also a conversation that I'm sure you as a listener have had whenever talking about what would you do with the lottery? But it's only going to end up being XYZ after taxes, whatever. And he did tell me that after taxes, it's about $800,000. So it sounds like taxes chewed up more than half of it, which is a huge bummer, but man, still could not be happier for him. I guess that's a mini. Nah, I don't have many female friends. Just dudes are way better at hanging out with. Nobody wants to hang out with a woman. Are you kidding me? I'm just kidding. I'll probably cut that. I'm kidding. But I have my wife, and yeah. So I got a friend that won the lottery, and it's so fucking cool. And yeah, I think it's a. And then I kind of do the thing where I'm like, man, if I were to just get that lump sum, like, what would I do? And yeah, I think you asked me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, my answer is totally different now. But I guess I'm kind of boring because I don't think I would retire. Probably not. It probably changes your mentality. Like the things you used to like stress about at work, you just like let that shit roll off your back. It's like, if I get fired today, it's like, okay, I got a little nest egg to fall back on in case of emergencies. But yeah, probably make sure all of the big things are paid off. Like, I'm grateful to be in a place where like we don't have a car payment right now, but this house paid off. Maybe college for the kid, ready to go. First call would probably be, I'd probably call my parents, just be like, oh, no way, and then I'd probably make an appointment with my financial advisor immediately and be like, okay, what does this mean? Where should I be putting? Actually, I wouldn't even ask the question. I don't need to understand it. Just make sure this goes up and up and up and up and up. And then maybe take a fun vacation. I don't know, yeah, and I think that's all I got to say about that. Like I said, I'm very excited to have a conversation with the guy and stuff like that. Oh, here's a question. Here's a question for the white people who listen to this podcast. Have you ever been invited to the cookout? Have you ever been invited to the cookout? And if you're like, what does that mean? You haven't. You're not welcome. And I have. I've been invited to the cookout. This happened years ago, but it's a very fond memory. In fact, I got invited to the cookout, and then my invitation got immediately revoked, which is a bummer. I think he was kidding, but I think it still stands. Like if I were to like try to cash in, I think he would take me up on it. So being invited to the cookout is like it's probably the biggest honor that you can have as a white person that someone from the black community extends to you. And basically it's saying we would be cool with having you around, man. You seem like one of the good ones. And it feels really good. Like back in the day, I got the N-word pass in high school. Some of my black friends, said it was cool to use that word. I don't know how much I really took them up on it. I just never. It's an interesting word. I could probably do a whole hour-long podcast talking about that word. And then another one, I think it's just, I don't know. I don't speak for white people or anything like that, but the feeling of making black people laugh, for some reason it hits different more than any other group. It's because it's genuine, because they're not going to give it up if the shit ain't funny. And and I've had the pleasure of being funny around black people a few times, and one of the times got my ass invited to the cookout, baby. And then the same day, my buddy Lloyd revoked it. And I'll tell that story. We were fucking chilling. We were at work. We were chilling. He extended the invite. I said, fuck yeah, dude. And then later on in the day, the movie Friday comes up, starring Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. And here's what got my invitation revoked. I said, I love Friday. It's a classic. But I think next Friday is funnier. And that's all I said. I didn't say better. I didn't say more iconic. I just said funnier. And the reason I said that is because, and here's where he revoked it. I go, I thought Day Day, played by Mike Epps, was funnier. Just not even more iconic. Made me laugh more and harder than Chris Tucker playing Smokey. And then I went on to plead my case. I said, the Latino brothers who lived near the house, I thought were hilarious. I thought Roach, the white character who they get high in the record store, I thought he was funny. I thought Uncle Elroy was super funny. Like, I think aside from Chris Tucker, you got all of the makings, all the ingredients from the first one. But I thought with the second one, I liked the plot better. I thought it was a funnier movie. And he revoked it. And, I still think about that. This was probably 8 years ago now. I still think about that. But I say all that to say, I would still like to go to a cookout one day. I just don't know when that time's going to come. For my sake, I hope it does come. I really do, because it felt good. It felt good to be accepted. I do have a couple of pet peeves, and this one's really weird. This one's weird. This is a really weird pet peeve, and it's hard to call it a pet peeve, but just something that I always find really uncomfortable and I'm really bad at. Okay, so say you're going into some sort of environment where there's a fair amount of people. You're going to work. You're going to a family get-together. You're going to a friend get-together, whatever. And you have some like recent big news, or you got a cool story to share with the group. I hate, say you get in conversation with the first person and you tell them the story. Yeah, I got a promotion at work. It's really cool. They're going to let me do a podcast basically for my full-time job. I mean, I got to do little side projects here and there, but nothing that's going to occupy a ton of time. I get to do a podcast for Ford Motor Company as my job. And I'm like really excited. And then eventually that conversation winds down and you find yourself in a new conversation with a new person. And what I hate is having to share the news again with the same amount of enthusiasm. But here's what I really hate. I hate when the person that I just told everything to is within earshot of this conversation. And the reason I hate it is because I'm just worried about what that person from conversation 1 is going to be thinking about me. Like, oh, God, give it a rest. What is that, all you got to talk about now? Good Lord, did you hear Chris telling everybody about his fucking job? Yeah, so that's always been kind of a peeve of mine. And I got another peeve here. It involves my wife. So we'll be driving and I'll see something crazy, like a jackknife semi-truck on the road. Say it's like on the other side of the freeway. And I'll go, oh my God, and I'll point at it and be like, oh my God, jackknife truck. I'll point at the thing and she will never look at where I'm pointing at. It could be anything. Oh my God, it's a slaughtered white deer. I'm watching the new season of Dexter, and that's the thing. And she'll sometimes she'll look the other way. Like she'll look opposite of where I'm pointing to. And no matter how hard, like I flex my forearm and my bicep, and no matter how far I extend my finger at the thing that is incredibly rare, look, she'll be like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like flat like that too. And I think that's what the double whammy of that, how she won't look at what I'm pointing at. and the fact that she's just so flat and mundane with it, like could be anything too. But I did have this funny experience. Like last night we had some free time and just Friday night, we couldn't think of anything. And she goes, do you want to show me how to play Grand Theft Auto? And I'm like, that is a great idea. And so I fire it up. I do one mission and I'm kind of showing her the buttons as I'm doing the mission, just so she can get a feel for the game and everything. And it's early on in the story. And so I go, okay, think you got it? So I pass the control over to her and she gets into a car. First of all, she refuses to hijack a car. She just like walks around, exchanges pleasantries with everybody. And I finally get her to like hijack a car. And she follows all of the traffic rules. And like, she won't speed. She won't run a red light. And then anytime she like accidentally sideswipes a car, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm sorry. And it's like, man, remember when they said the only differences between men and women are cultural, like the whole blue versus pink thing? It's just a societal thing. There is no difference between men and women. Well, have any women sit next to a man playing Grand Theft Auto? You're going to find out real quick that we got some differences. She didn't want to break any traffic rules. I feel like the first 10 seconds of me playing GTA, I'm like, you mean I can run people over? I'm going to run every person. Oh, you mean I can run from the cops? Oh, you mean there's a strip club in this game? I can go look at some tits and get a lap dance? She wanted to go to his house, change his outfit. And I'm like, why are you could be shooting people right now. And it was just such a funny juxtaposition and ideal difference. Here's an idea that I had to get away from revealing the fact that I am, I got some problems. Any guy playing Grand Theft Auto 5, if you're not running people over, that's gay, dude. That's gay. I don't like using that. I don't even like using that. Yeah, I do. I feel like that's one that kind of went away for a while. Kind of coming, like I eased off it for a little bit, and it's back. I am back to using it, but I will never go back, I don't think, to using the F one. I think that one, it's hard on the ears. That's another interesting thing about the new South Park. I thought nobody talked about it, but the 6-letter F word was, do not touch that one. However, leave it up to South Park to bring it back. And not only that, it's okay. So I'm going to say what they said in South Park. I don't love it. They used retarded faggot several times throughout the episode to refer to Trump. So I thought that was really interesting because, let's be honest, it's typically the far, far left that, kind of banned that word or said no good. And I agree. I've really dialed down my use of the R, retarded, but I've pretty much eliminated the F one from my vocabulary. It just hits my ears and it kind of makes me, I don't like it. But I'm very curious. I saw no reaction, even though that word was so stigmatized and so, what's the word I'm looking for? It got so banned that Eminem, of all people, used it in a song and had it removed. The song Fall off the Kamikaze album. That's how hot button of a word it was. And then South Park used it, and I've heard more and more people using it, whatever. But and my question was is it still not okay to use? Is it okay in some contexts? Is it more okay because they were in fact talking about Trump, who, he asked 99.999% of the people on far left is evil, the enemy, which fair. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting that they used it, but to rip on something that the people who hated the word are maybe even more against. So maybe that's where it goes. But yeah, I thought that was wild. That was very, very wild to me. And here's a recommendation. Has nothing to do with any of that, but while I still like throwing out pet peeves and recommendations here on the Skunk Box podcast. This is for anybody who's in a relationship with a SIG of 521. If you're ever struggling to come up with what to eat for dinner, that's a pretty common one, but also just what activity to do for the day, 521 is so great. So you have one person, and you could even rotate the person, come up with 5 options. Or it could be what to watch on Netflix or whatever. One person comes up with 5 options. The other person then narrows it from the 5 to 2, and then the other person picks from that 2. So I'm sure you understand where I'm going with this, but here's an example. So it's 4:00, weekday, nothing prepared for dinner. Can't come to an agreement. Well, we should do this, we should do that. Pretty common in a relationship. You go, okay, 5-2-1. And you have one person quickly decide, all right, you come up with 5, I'll do 2. So, okay, so we go to Plato's Coney Island, we go to Chili's, we go to Westbourne Market to get a rotisserie chicken, we cook what we have here, or we get Arby's. And then person 2 is like, okay, let's do either Arby's or rotisserie chicken. The other person's like, let's go to Arby's. Boom. You just decided. It saves so much time and so much energy and turns it into kind of like a fun thing. And it becomes like a fun thing in itself. So there's my recommendation there. 5-2-1. Everybody do it. And I will end on this idea that I have. You know how we have Pride Month and we have like Black History Month? I think we should, as a country, pick 1 month. And I think 1 month is even too long, but I think we could start with 1 month where everybody can share your opinion on anything. Like the purge of opinions. Go political, go religious, go social, go spiritual, go financial, go whatever. Go all out with your opinion for 1 month. And then the other 11 months, you shut the fuck up.